Today on Arts 24, the world's most acclaimed dissident filmmaker. The Iranian director Jafar Panahi has been jailed, gone on hunger strike, and been forced to sell his house for bail. In this interview, as his film that won the Cannes Film Festival's highest honour, It Was Just an Accident, is released in France, the great director explains why every film is worth the risk. Jafar Panahi, hello.
Hello.
Congratulations on the success of the film.
Thank you.
The last time France 24 spoke to you was just before you won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. You returned to Iran to a hero's welcome, despite being banned by the state from making films in the country. Have you faced any repercussions of this film and the attention it got internationally?
On arrival in Tehran, my relatives were there to meet me, but also the families of political prisoners and the families of my crew members. It wasn't really a hero's welcome, but a hopeful one. So that was the welcome I got from the people. But the regime still treats directors and people they disapprove of the same way as they always did. They criticize the films. They want to show it's worthless, that it only won a prize because foreign intelligence services wanted to promote it.
I read that you were actually stopped by the authorities while you were making the film, but you refused to hand over the footage. What do you think stopped them arresting you again?
We were in a van with our camera people and some actors. We'd left the shoot to do some takes. There wasn't enough space for all of us in one van, so we split up and were in different locations. Suddenly I got a call to warn me that the authorities were on to us. By the time they arrived, we'd hidden the rushes, so they didn't find anything. The whole thing lasted about 4 or 5 hours in the street. Finally, the next day, they arrested a few of the crew and banned us from filming anything else. So for a month, we stalled the shoot. In the end, what we needed to shoot in 2 days, we managed to do in 1 with a smaller team. We know how to stay safe now. We need to take constant precautions to make sure we can complete our films. It's not easy. I've learned how to do it over time. For example, the first time I made a film with Mohammed Rasulov, the authorities arrived and threw us in jail. That was because we didn't have enough experience. But through making films like This Is Not a Film, Taxi Tehran, and No Bear, we've gained experience, and now we know how to make it work.
For 15 years, Panahi has made his films in secret and illegally. He smuggled his 2011 iPhone documentary, This Is Not a Film, out of the country on a USB stick hidden in a cake. He shot 2013's Closed Curtain at home with the windows draped. And he turned his car into a mobile studio for 2015's Taxi Tehran. It won Berlin's Golden Bear in his absence. From your film The Circle in 2000, every one of your films has been banned in Iran, blocking them from Oscar consideration. Now France has submitted It Was Just an Accident as its official entry for Best International Feature because it was co-produced by a French company. What does that recognition mean to you?
When a film can be seen in different places, it attracts attention. And what's better for a filmmaker than for people to watch his films? Obviously, for me, the most important thing is that my films are seen in Iran. But unfortunately, that hasn't been possible.
نشد. بالاخره گیرش آوردم.
آدم ربایی جرم کمی نیست، اونم یه مأمور اطلاعاتی.
اقبال پا قشنگه یادت اومد؟
مریض! خدا تعالی اسمش پوشم هم نخورده.
The film was inspired by your own imprisonment. It follows a former political prisoner called Vahid, who abducts an interrogator who tortured him in prison. How much of your own experience is in that story?
ببینید شما 7 ماه تو داخل زندان هستین. تو این 7 ماه با زندانیان بسیاری صحبت میکنید.
When you're in prison for 7 months with other prisoners, you talk a lot, you share a lot.
زندان باز میشه تو میای بیرون یه نگاهی به پشت.
When the prison doors open and you're free, you turn around and realize they're left behind.
و از اینجا شروع میشه که تو همش دلت.
It's at that moment that I knew I wanted to do something about it.
چند ماهی طول میکشه و به این نقطه میرسی که
I thought about it for a few months, and I came to the conclusion that I had to make a film. It's the only thing I know how to do. I had this vision of each prisoner and their individual stories in front of me.
حالا تمام این آدم‌ها که انگار جلوی چشت رژه میرن.
But one thing they all have in common is the interrogation process. You're in front of a wall, blindfolded, with a notepad and pencil. You sometimes lift up the blindfold to answer the interrogator who's behind you. You don't see them. You can only hear their voice. All you can do is answer. And you wonder, how old is he? What does he look like? Would I recognize him if I met him on the outside? That's what this film is about. A shared experience. And from there, each character's story unfolds.
این تجربه مشترک میشه استارت اولیه کار، استارت شروع کار و بعد یکی یکی شخصیتاتو وارد میکنی.
ببین ما قاتل نیستیم.
مطمئنی خودشه؟
نه.
که پاقورا زر آورده اینجا.
In the film, Vahid questions if violence is the right way to bring about justice. I wondered what you would do if you came face to face with your interrogator in the street.
فقط بحث انتقام نیست. یک چیزی رو بگم یا بحث بخشش نیستش. یه اتفاقی که چند مدت پیش افتاد.
It's not just about vengeance or forgiveness.
زندان اوین بمباران شد. یکی از موشک‌ها درست خورد به
A few months ago, Tehran's Evin prison was bombed. It was partially hit by an Israeli bombing. The walls of the cells and doors were destroyed, and the prisoners got out. Another part of the prison was destroyed, the part where the interrogations took place. The prisoners found themselves there, and they saw some people hurt under the rubble. They were probably the people who'd interrogated them, and the prisoners saved them. They pulled them out. Probably the prisoners had thought that if one day they could have the chance of vengeance, they'd take it. But it really depends on the situation and on humanity itself. In that moment, being human overcame the need for vengeance. You see, you can't clearly predict how you'd act in such circumstances. It really depends on the situation.
Your friend and fellow filmmaker Mohammad Rasulov fled Iran for Europe, and many Iranian filmmakers have chosen exile. Could you imagine leaving Iran to make films?
اینو ندارم که واقعا خارج از کشور بتونم زندگی کنم.
I don't have the possibility of living abroad.
بودم خسته شده بودم و همش
I wouldn't be able to stand it.
کی میتونم برگردم به ایران.
I've been away for some time, and I'm always counting the days until I go home to Iran.
خیلی از ایرانی‌ها هستن
There are people who can do it, people who are obligated to, and go in exile, but I don't have that capacity.
مثل من
I can only live in
توان
Iran.
این مسئله رو ندارن. من فقط میتونم تو ایران زندگی کنم.
It's been 3 years now since the start of the woman life freedom movement in Iran, sparked by the death of young Mahsa Amini after her arrest for wearing her veil incorrectly. Has that movement changed things in Iran, do you think?
این بزرگترین اتفاقی بود که افتاد. یعنی من معتقدم
It's the biggest and most pivotal thing to have happened in recent years in Iran, perhaps in the history of the Islamic Republic.
تقسیم کرد به قبل از جنبش مهسا.
There's a before and after the woman life freedom movement.
یعنی بسیاری از تکلیف‌ها
Many things
مشخص شد.
became clearer, and this influenced many aspects of life. Even the face of the city changed.
آدم‌ها
People understood
تکلیفشون
what they had to do.
و
Even in the presidential election, we saw the change.
سعی می‌کردن آمارشو بدن.
The authorities used to say that there was more than 60% turnout.
با اینکه به اون آمارم اعتماد نبود.
This time, there was no confidence in the figures, and they said that only 40% of people had voted because it was clear from the streets that people were taking a different path from that of the regime.
پس
And so I'm convinced that a page of history has been turned with the movement that followed Mahsa's death.
از تاریخ ورق خورد و اونم با جنبش مهسا.
You faced censorship for decades. Now, with rising authoritarianism globally, artists everywhere are facing new pressures, like, for example, in the US under Trump. How do you see the role of filmmakers in defending democracy today?
من الان یه چیزی نزدیک 17 ساله که بیرون نیومدم و
I was in North America recently.
کل دنیا این
I think it had been 17 or 18 years since I'd left Iran.
یک چیزایی رو دیدم که ترس برم
I'd never traveled so much across different continents,
دیدم که احساس
and I see things now that frighten me,
یک خبرنگاری
signs that make me sense danger.
بعد یه لحظه برگشت آروم با من حرف زد. انگار میترسید اونجا شنود داشت.
I remember an interview with a journalist who turned to me and started whispering because he was afraid of something.
دیگه‌ای رو یه دفعه من دیدم. من این نشانه رو میشناسم.
The atmosphere was changed,
نشانه رو ما خیلی
and I
وقت
recognized
پیش دیده
that
بودیم.
sign.
کار به اینجا کشید.
I know that feeling well.
یعنی ما
We saw that kind of whispering a long time ago in our country, and it's what led us to where we are today.
و این آروم حرف زدنه که تو ترس
We know what it's like to whisper in other people's ears because you're afraid, and their fear is scary. How far will it spread? It's frightening to think how far this censorship could grow in the world.
آره این ترس هست.
Jafar Panahi, thank you. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you. Thanks.
خودم زن و بچه دارم میفهمم چی داری میگی.
ببین با من چیکار کردی که صحبت آشغال.
حالا میخوای چیکار کنی؟